Have you ever sat in silence with someone and done absolutely nothing except hold their hands? This practice is called holding hands healing. The idea is simple. Two people sit facing each other, close their eyes, and gently hold hands. No pressure, no expectations. There is nothing to achieve and nowhere to get. The invitation is simple to notice your body, your emotions, your thoughts, and wherever naturally arises in the space between you and the other person. For some people, it can feel relaxing, for others uncomfortable, sometimes emotional, sometimes surprisingly ordinary. I think it depends on how open you are to the experience and how willing you are to let yourself be present with whatever comes up. For me, this practice feels especially interesting because I'm not naturally a very physical person. Even simple things like hugs, kisses on the cheek, or casual touch don't always come naturally to me. I often prefer to greet people from a distance with a smile or a wave. So, in a way, sitting here and holding someone's hands for 20 minutes feels like stepping into unfamiliar territory. Niels guided me into the practice. I closed my eyes and slowly everything became quiet. At first, it felt simple. Just two hands touching, gentle, nothing dramatic. But after a while I started noticing small details. The subtle movements in his hands, the rhythm of a heartbeat, the warmth, the presence of another person without needing words. As the silence continued, I became more aware of my own body. I noticed where I was holding tension. I noticed how active my mind still was. My rational brain kept searching for explanations, trying to understand what was happening, trying to analyze every sensation. But little by little, that need to understand started fading. My body softened. My breathing slowed. I felt heavier, lighter at the same time. At what point my posture began to relax so much that my head naturally started leaning forward. Almost as if my body no longer needed to hold itself together so tightly. Then I noticed something else. The beat of my own heart. And with every beat, my body made the tiniest movement. A gently sway, almost imperceptible, as if my whole body was quietly dancing to a rhythm that had always been there. There was also a moment that felt surprisingly vivid. I saw an image in my mind, like an old photographic negative held against the light. Most of the image looked like grass, and in one small corner there was a rock. For some reason I immediately recognized myself in that image. The rock felt familiar, a little distant, watching from the edge, observing rather than participating, keeping a safe distance from emotions instead of fully stepping into them. And maybe that image was showing me something I already knew. That sometimes I stay on the outside looking in, not because I want to, but because it feels safer there. When the practice ended and I opened my eyes, something had changed. Not dramatically, not in a way that can be measured, but I felt lighter, especially around my chest. There is often a heaviness there that I carry without even noticing. All emotions, unspoken feelings, things I have learned to live with. During the practice, that weight seemed to soften. I didn't realize it was happening while it was happening. I only noticed it afterwards. The absence of it. And that was the most beautiful part. Not because something was fixed, but because for a moment I experienced what it felt like to exist without carrying that extra weight. And it felt wonderful. Afterwards, Nils and I shared our experiences. We talked about what we had felt, what had surprised us, and what had appeared during the practice.
And did it get better then with the heart? Like, did it open after a while?
Yeah, I feel like less heavy, like just like
I told him about the image I had seen, about the gentle movement of my body, about the feeling of becoming lighter, and about how a practice that seemed so simple on the surface ended up revealing something much deeper. Sometimes healing doesn't arrive through big breakthroughs. Sometimes it arrives through silence, through presence, through allowing yourself to be seen. And sometimes it begins with something as simple as holding someone's hands.
It was really deep. I went like in a really deep state. Just like like you can reach depths of meditation that you would normally need months and months of practice. No? So with two, you just glide in and then wow, okay. Then you feel this field of being connected with everything, and at some point also my right hand started to move a little. I don't know if you noticed.
yes.
it was like a little of the astral tingling, but just locally, just here, and then it comes that the hand also moves, and that starts on the astral body, like the energies, like there was something like a strong flow, something, and it made the one move.
I also like the cat was
Yeah.
moving around us and
Yeah.
I think that maybe she feels like that.
Oh yeah. She always likes to be close then and feel that, like, oh, yeah, it's nice. Yeah.